Welcome back to Old School Sports and our Out of the Park Baseball 26 series Rescue the Rockies. And we are at the All-Star break in the 2034 season. Rockies are pretty well positioned to hopefully make the playoffs for a ninth consecutive year. We've got a 7.5 game lead over the San Francisco Giants in the National League West right now. However, we do have a worse record than both of the other division leaders in the National League at this point. So we would unfortunately have to play in a best-of-3 wildcard series, albeit with home field advantage if the season were to end today. Fortunately, we've got about 2.5 months left in the season to get this team to a slightly better position and hopefully at a minimum earn a first-round bye. Should start getting some good news on a few of our injuries over the next couple of months. Second baseman Rosniel DePaula only 4 days away. Ezekiel Tovar, our shortstop, about 3 weeks away. And it does look like the young infielder Derby Mahez may be back just before the end of the season to get a little playing time. 5 Rockies named All-Stars this year. Not surprisingly, Noah Schultz and Leo Martinez are 1 and 2 starters named to the All-Star team this year, along with left fielder Kevin Roberts Jr., first baseman Ryan Stone, and cleanup hitter and right fielder Gus Nieves, who are all having big, productive seasons for our Rockies. Got just 2 weeks now until we get to the trade deadline, and obviously going to be off for the next few days for the All-Star break. We've got 3 at home against San Diego, then 4 on the road at Cincinnati, 3 on the road at the Dodgers, and then back at home on Monday the 31st for a game against Seattle when we do get to the trade deadline. Did make a couple minor trades about a week ago. Don't know that we're going to do too much over the next 2 weeks. I think a lot is dependent on injuries. If there's a real significant injury we suffer, maybe we'll have to do something interesting. Otherwise, the hope is that we've got a pretty good team right here, right now, and hopefully we'll be even healthier and better suited to win some games come playoff time. And for what it's worth, potential free agent Gus Nieves, our slugging right fielder, won the home run contest 20-17, topping Roberto Lemus of the Cincinnati Reds in the finale. And we won 2 out of 3 coming out of the All-Star break against the Padres. We also now have all but one of our draftees signed, still just waiting on the college reliever Jake Lyons. He is playing in the draft league at this point, so he still is getting some experience, although he hasn't signed with us yet. So even when he is on board and signed, probably will let him conclude that season over the next couple of weeks before starting his career, likely in A or high A, I would guess. And we've made it to the trade deadline. Unfortunately, this month of July has been a rough month relative to the rest of this season for our Rockies. Lost 2 out of 4 in Cincinnati, so we split the series with them before losing 3 in a row on the road against the Dodgers. Shut out consecutive games to the Dodgers, so we've been shut out consecutive days in a series to a divisional rival twice in the last 2.5 weeks, which isn't necessarily a wonderful statistic. So with the team struggling a bit, our lead over the Padres has been cut to 6.5, and we are 3 games behind the Nationals for the second best record in the National League. I guess the positive thing is that the injury situation is only getting better. Looks like Tovar out for about a week at this point. Mahez still out for close to 2 months, so maybe a little dicier whether we'll actually have him back at the end of the season or not. But we did get Rosniel DePaula back about a week ago at this point, actually coming right out of the trade deadline. So he's been with us, I think, every game we've played. Not out of the trade deadline, out of the All-Star break. I think he's been with us every game we've played since the All-Star break. So good to have him back in the lineup. And I'll investigate offline whether there's anything interesting to do, but given that we've got a good roster, we like the roster, and the injury situation seems to be getting better right now, may not do much of anything right now. And we won the final game of the month of July against the Mariners, so that was positive. Did not find any other trades to make. The prices for the players who were available were too expensive for us, so we are going to run with this squad the rest of the way. Taking a look at our team statistics here, as I noted, a rough month of July, 12-14 record, the first losing month that we've had this season. Ranks second now in the National League in runs scored and second in runs allowed, so we have regressed a little bit, but still a very good team overall, and our 61-47 record is 4 games below Pythagorean expectations. Surprisingly bad 5-10 record in extra inning games, and we're also 3 games below 500 in one-run games this year. Really good at home, but we have not been particularly impressive on the road here, which is going to make it all the more important to hopefully get a first-round bye and home field advantage, at least for one, if not more, series in our potential playoff berth. And as we sit here on August 1st, Gus Nieves tied with Roberto Lemus for the lead in home runs after they faced off in the finale of the Home Run Derby. Kevin Roberts now just 2 behind them. Kevin Roberts third in the league in ribbies. Nieves and Roberts 2-3 in the league in OPS. Leo Martinez continues to lead the league in ERA, but now tied for the lead in wins with his teammate Noah Schultz. Still third in the league in strikeouts. Martinez still leading the league in pitcher war easily. Schultz, though, surging and now up to third in pitcher war in the National League. As we sit here with just about 2 months to go in the season, with 108 games in the books, we are exactly 2/3 of the way through this 2034 regular season. 6.5 up on the Padres at this point, who have won 4 in a row. 8.5 up on the Dodgers and the Giants, and 11 up on the Diamondbacks. As we noted, the Nationals and the Marlins, for that matter, if they win the NL East, would both have a better record than us right now. And the Reds in the NL Central also better than us. Taking a look at the team schedule, fair amount of divisional games. Doesn't look like we really have any out-of-division games against the teams that we are competing with to hopefully potentially compete for the top record in the National League. So we will just have to take care of business against our divisional rivals. Some games out of league against Seattle, the Angels, and the Astros. And then also some games against the Mets, the Pirates, out of division as well. And of course, the day after the trade deadline, Rosnil DePaula injured again, strained back. That's actually going to impact him for a couple of weeks. Minimal impact on hitting and throwing, moderate impact on running, since we have bolstered our infield depth a bit because of all the injuries we've had there. We're going to be cautious with him, send him back on the IL, and we'll bring Ariel Diego back from AAA. And actually, if you were looking carefully, you would know that I misspoke, because Ariel Diego is out with a torn hamstring for 4 to 5 weeks, so we won't be reuniting with him from AAA. So instead of Diego, we brought Gary Mackey back up. You may remember we picked him up in a trade with Houston last offseason to basically just be a solid defensive infielder for us. He was only proficient at shortstop when we picked him up, but since then we've been playing him at second base and third base throughout spring training and most of this year in AAA, which is where he spent most of the season. So getting reasonably proficient at those positions too. So a good, solid defensive option for us, although we expect that his bat is going to continue to struggle against major league pitching. And we've split 2 games against the Diamondbacks since the last time we checked in. Unfortunately, another injury. This is a familiar name, Dave Seibrecht, the Rule 5 draft pick we had from the Angels back in 2031. Both his 2032 and 2033 seasons were extremely abbreviated because of injuries. Has been somewhat healthier this year, but also somewhat less effective with a 6.75 ERA over 25 and a third innings. He's going to be out with a sprained elbow for the next 5 weeks. The way he's pitched so far, I would say it's questionable that he will be a member of our pitching staff come postseason time. So probably good to get a look at somebody else right now. And with that injury to Seibrecht, we brought Gregorio Olvera back up from the minors. He was 4-0 with a 3.46 ERA this year in AAA Albuquerque. We sent him down a couple of weeks ago at this point when we made the trade to bring over Iberson Castellano from the Phillies. Castellano has not been good for us out of the bullpen with a 6.75 ERA over 8 innings pitched. But we are still going to move him into the number 4 starter role that we think we may need him for come playoff time. And we're demoting Brian Stoops, the former first-round pick, back to a long relief role. Stoops started 22 games for us this year, 4-9 record with a 6.43 ERA. 69 ERA plus, obviously ugly. The 105 FIP minus is a bit below average. Has not been great for us. And 66 pitches today in that 11-8 loss to Arizona. Might as well see what Castellano looks like since Stoops has not had a good year for us. He'll continue to get action in the bullpen, so hopefully he'll continue to develop a bit as a 25-year-old who we think has some untapped potential. Bernie Barrera, who's been our 5th starter for most of this season at this point, has done a better job at this point. He's also a youngster, 23 years old, than Stoops has, which is why that even though Barrera has been our number 5 starter, we're taking our 4th starter in Stoops out of the rotation at this point. And we lost another game to the Diamondbacks, so our very mediocre play continues. But good news, Ezequiel Tovar is finally healthy now. He's been out for a while, though. We're going to probably put him on a short rehab assignment for the next couple of days in AAA, but definitely looking forward to having him back at shortstop at the major league level. And Tovar went 2 for 5 with a double in his 1 game in AAA. Did strike out once, but we'll view that 2 for 5 performance as a hopeful sign that there's not too much rust for the now 33-year-old and bring him back up to be our everyday shortstop. But we're going to send him to the bench given his fragility when he gets a little bit off of perfect in terms of his health and his rest, and hopefully try to keep him healthy for the playoffs, which is when we're going to want and need him to be in the lineup every day. And our team continues to struggle here in the month of August. We're particularly bad on Fridays and Saturdays, where we're combined 0-6 this month. Did just win the final game of a 4-game series against the Dodgers to salvage a 2-2 sweep. Injury issues still not perfect for us. Rosniel DePaula, I think it was good that we were conservative with him, because even though we thought that was just going to be a injury that was going to have a minor impact on him for about 2 weeks, his recovery from that is still listed as unknown. 7-game lead on the Giants, 9 up on the Diamondbacks. The Padres 9.5 back, and the Dodgers actually in last place at this point. Cincinnati has also been struggling of late. They're 4.5 games up on us now for the 3rd best record among a division leader in the National League. So if we want to avoid having to play a wild card best of 3 series, it would be a good time for our Rockies to start winning more ball games. As we sit here on August 20th, Gus Nieves 2nd in the league in homers, 3rd in the league in OPS. Martinez and Schultz now 1-2 in ERA, tied for the league lead in wins, and first and third in pitcher WAR, as our two aces continue to have fantastic seasons for us here in 2034. And we finally have a good week in the books, 5-0 record, 2-0 at home against the Angels, and 3-0 at home against Houston. So 4 games left now, all on the road against division foes until we get to September roster expansion. Rosnal DePaula back, which is good. We got 3 at Arizona and then 1 at San Francisco before we get to September 1st. San Francisco 7.5 behind us in the division now. The Padres, Diamondbacks, and Dodgers are all double-digit games behind us in the division. At 75 and 55, we are 3 games behind the Reds for the second best record in the NL among a team that happens to be leading the division right now. So unfortunately, we're still set up where we would be in a wild card series. And right now, we would be hosting our division rival Giants in a wild card series if the season were to end today. And of course, right when I'm feeling good about the team, that's when we lose 3 out of 4, 2 out of 3 in Arizona in the first game of the series against the Giants. Take a look at our team statistics with just 1 month to go in the season, and 15-11 in August, so we were at least back over 500. Our 76 and 58 record is 5 below expectations. We really continue to struggle in extra inning games, although we've almost evened our mark in 1-run games. Have fallen to 3rd in the league in runs scored, although we're generally in the top 3 in most offensive categories. But we have improved to 1st in the National League in runs allowed, 1st in most of the primary pitching categories, and a really nice defensive season for us so far. So as we sit here on September 1st, 76 and 58 record, 6 games up on the Giants. So these next few days against the Giants could be relatively important. The Reds are reeling. They've lost 3 in a row, so they are now 2.5 games ahead of us for the second best record in the National League. And certainly, as we've talked about, would like to get by them. Nationals are hot right now, winning 8 in a row, 84 and 49. So they are 8.5 games ahead of us in the standings at this point. Going to be pretty tough for us to get past the Nationals for the best record in the National League. And with the White Sox struggling a bit of late, the Nationals now actually have the best record in all of baseball. Gus Nieves, who's led the National League in both homers and ribbies 4 of his 6 seasons with us, looks like he has a chance to lead the league in home runs, 2 behind Jose Villarreal right now. He is 22 ribbies behind Villarreal, however, so unlikely to lead the league in runs batted in this year. 3rd in the league in OPS. Kevin Roberts has obviously dropped out of the leaderboards, so assuming he had a bit of a rough month of August. Martinez and Schultz remain 2 of the premier pitchers in the National League, still 1-2 in ERA, tied for the league lead in wins. Schultz is now 3rd in the league in strikeouts, and Martinez and Schultz are 1st and 3rd in the league in pitcher WAR, with a month to go until the end of this 2034 regular season. And we've made our decisions as far as the 4 additions to our roster here for September roster expansion. Still hoping that eventually Derby Mahez will be around maybe the last week or so of the season, since it is conceivable, given his defensive skill and the way that he did hit for us before he got injured, that he should certainly be in contention for a spot on the playoff roster if he's healthy. 3 additions as far as position players. We brought Chris Boone back to be our primary backup catcher. You'll recall we had to send him down when we made the trade for Kyle Teal to just give us a 3rd major league-ish quality catcher on our 40-man roster in case we had some injuries, and Teal, although he still had options, refused the assignment to AAA. So Boone now back up as our primary backup catcher. Ariel Dehigo, who's been up and down multiple times this year, back. And then the final addition was Ramon Cantero. He's spent most of the year in AAA. He's actually going to go right into the starting lineup against left-handed pitching as our first baseman. We've been playing the left-handed hitting Colt Keith at first base against lefties most of this year, and he hasn't had a great year. Cantero, IAFA signing of ours from 2027, definitely at 24 years old, hasn't developed into what we hoped he might become. But he did have a monster year in AAA this year, hitting .311 with 31 homers and 78 ribbies. Had just that one game played with a run scored. Looks like perhaps he was used as a pinch runner the one game that he played in the majors this year. Last year, when he was a September call-up, he was 5 for 28. We'll see what he can do for us against left-handed pitching, because he does have a profile that suggests could be a pretty useful player against left-handed pitching for us. Down in the minors this year, although he is not a particularly good defensive player, we did round out his skill set. He's now as good as he's ever going to be at first base, third base, left field, center field, and right field. But you can see we would never, ever actually want to play him at third or center field. And he's competent only at first, left, and right when we think about Ramon Cantero defensively. And the one call-up to our pitching staff is a guy who we picked in the 9th round back in 2030, 23-year-old pitcher Chris Kennedy, who has some really filthy stuff. Great fastball, great cutter, and a decent splitter. Started the year in Double-A for us, where he was 0-1 with 18 saves and a 2.08 ERA, and then we promoted him to AAA Albuquerque a couple of months ago. 6-0 there with 12 saves in 20 games pitched, a glittering 0.79 earned run average over 22 2/3 innings pitched there. Definitely a guy who I think should be fighting for a spot on the 26-man roster next spring. So it'll be good to get a look at what Mr. Kennedy can do for us down the stretch here as a 14th arm on our pitching staff. And taking a look at that injured list, Dave Cybreck should be back in 4 days from that strained elbow, so could have some decisions to make about the pitching staff then. And Derby Mahez supposedly 3 weeks away from the broken bone in his elbow. So as we look at the schedule for this month, we've got our final game of the season exactly a month from today on October 1st. It's definitely conceivable that we'll get about a week of action from Mahez unless he has any setbacks, which would be good because intrigued to see if he can be productive over that final week of the season and maybe be someone who certainly has a glove as a defensive replacement in the infield that would be useful for the playoffs, but might also merit being in the lineup at some point. And as we talked about earlier, it does look like Nieves still has a chance to lead the league in homers for a 5th time in 7 seasons, although he won't be leading the league in ribbies this year unless something very weird happens. Definitely a fair amount of momentum from the worldwide scouting department about signing Nieves to an extension. I've obviously decided not to. We'll take a look and see what happens, most notably with whether Noah Schultz opts into his contract or opts out following the season, and then kind of build a plan for the whole team, including what we want to do with Schultz and Nieves with a little more information. The price tag for Nieves, similar to the last time we checked in, 4 years, $29.6 million average, so actually a little bit less than the $31 million he's making right now, but given that those are his mid to late 30s that we're heading into, and he's now normal in his injury proneness and still has that difficult personality, makes sense that perhaps we would be paying him a little bit less than we did when he was, I believe, 26 years old, and we signed him when he came over from Cuba. And before we get moving on this final month of the season and hopefully clinching the playoff spot, clinching the West, and ultimately clinching a first round bye. Wanted to just check in on a few of the guys in our organization that make me continue to not be incredibly aggressive in trying to sign Mr. Nieves. Mike Castro, of course, is the guy who we picked in the first round, 28th pick overall, just a couple of months ago. And he finished up his time in the development league, hit just 229 in the draft league. Since then, since he is our shiny new object, we have been giving him a week in every locale, A-ball or higher in our organization for the local fans to get to see someone who we anticipate will be an important major leaguer for us, hopefully as early as next year. Was only 3 for 13 in A-ball, but a monster week in high A, 11 for 24, 458 average, and he's moved on to Double A Hartford this past week, where he's gone 3 for 9 with the first home run of his professional career. Probably keep him in Hartford for another week and a half, and then let him spend the final couple weeks of the season in Triple A Albuquerque and see what he can do there. But if Castro has a good trip or two to the development lab this upcoming off season, certainly looks like someone who, while he's not going to have the home run power of Gus Nieves, could be a pretty productive offensive player for us. And we've also got a handful of interesting outfield prospects who are now in AAA. Kevin Waymint is probably the least interesting of the bunch, but he is a guy who has above average contact and we think could have above average home run power. Not going to draw a ton of walks. He was a 13th round pick drafted in 2029, just turned 23. And he has basically just done nothing but hit, no matter what level we've put him at. Huge year for him this year in Albuquerque, 323 average, 31 homers, and 99 ribbies. Again, is he a perfect replacement for Mr. Nieves? Of course not. But he is much younger, much cheaper, and someone who could be fighting for a roster spot next year, particularly if we do move on from Nieves. Another guy more similar to Waymint, not a top-end prospect like Castro, and the next guy we'll be talking about is Josh McNeil. Switch hitting, corner outfielder, first base type. Think he's really more of a fourth or fifth outfielder. Do like his durability, like some of the personality traits. He's got a little bit of speed. Started the year in Double A Hartford, where he hit 324 with 16 homers, and he's hit 278 with 10 home runs and 97 at-bats since we promoted him to Triple A Albuquerque. But the most interesting of the young outfielders that we have that are hopefully nearing major leagues is Phil Dingwell, and former supplemental first-round pick 4 years ago in 2030, listed as the number 23 prospect in baseball. Pretty solid-looking defensive outfielder, and certainly if he reaches his true potential with the bat, with above-average home run power and a well-above-average eye, if he reaches his ceiling, would be the closest facsimile we have to Gus Nieves, although again, with his line drive tendencies, not saying by any stretch of the imagination that he's going to replace Gus Nieves, but certainly a better defensive player and pretty potentially well-rounded hitter. Dingwell raked in Double A for us this year at the age of 22, hitting 340, 19 doubles, 3 triples, and 14 homers and 306 at-bats. Been a little bit of a struggle the last month or so since we promoted him to AAA Albuquerque, hitting just 233 with 2 homers and 16 ribbies and 90 at-bats. Hasn't embarrassed himself with an 83 WRC+. He's been slightly above replacement level for the AAA. And keep in mind, he is still only 22 years old, has a fair amount of development in front of him, but think that between Dingwell and Castro, those are 2 potential starters for us, and then the other guys that we talked about could certainly be 4th or 5th outfielders going forward, and clearly with the likes of Kevin Roberts Jr. and Ted Miller and even Ryan Stone in the mix as first base outfield types that have come up through our organization. Not even thinking about Trent Clausen and then Mr. Pack Jr., who we traded for this past offseason. Feel like if we do move on from Nieves, and again, I'm not saying that we're going to, I'm just keeping as many options open for as long as I can. If we do move on from Nieves, I feel like there's a lot of interesting options for us to mix and match between our outfield, first base, and DH roles. So as September begins, we've got a 6-game lead on the Giants. Just lost the first game of this series on the road to them. 3 more at San Francisco, so they could close the gap to 3 if they sweep us the rest of the way, or we could extend the lead to almost double digits if we win the last 3 games of this series. A couple against the Dodgers, then we'll be home against the Marlins. Back on the road for 4 in the division at the Padres, at Texas for a weekend series. Then we are back home for 3 against Cincinnati, 3 at home against San Diego, and then at the end of the month, 3 against San Francisco. Would hope that we've got the division wrapped up by then, but if not, that penultimate series of the season could be pretty important. And then the final 3 games of the regular season will be on the road against the Dodgers. And we are unfortunately going to get a chance to test that outfield depth that I was just mentioning. The one injury that we really can't have just happened. Lost in extra innings today to the Giants to have our lead cut to 5. And more importantly than that, Kevin Roberts Jr. out for the rest of the regular season with a strained ACL. If we end up playing in a wild card series, it's very conceivable that we will not have him for that either. So that is not necessarily devastating to our playoff chances, as I expect we are going to be back in the playoffs for a 9th straight year, but it's certainly going to make it more difficult for us to get into the number 2 position in the National League from the number 3 position where we are today. And clearly avoiding a best-of-3 wildcard series would be the preferred path. Roberts, who was trying for his 3rd consecutive MVP award, likely to come up short now that his season, which started on the IL, will now end on the IL. In between, played 126 games for us, hit .292, 33 homers, 97 ribbies, 25 stolen bases, ultimately put up a 147 WRC plus and a 5.1 WAR. So another excellent season from Kevin Roberts Jr. Our hope is just that he'll be healthy by the time we get to the playoffs. And as I noted, we want to avoid that wild card series, and losing Roberts Jr. for the next month is not going to help our chances to win games and get to a first-round bye. And if I was superstitious, I would definitely be telling myself that I cursed us by talking about our outfield depth just moments ago, because one of the guys we talked about is the guy that we promoted, Kevin Waymont, the left-handed hitting outfielder who's had a big season in AAA. Likely ends the season at this point there, 324 average, 31 homers, and 100 ribbies. So he's been productive since we checked in on him a day ago. I guess it was actually still today, but the games weren't played yet. And we're going to play him against right-handed pitching. Give him an opportunity to play every day. He's basically going to take over as our left fielder against right-handed pitching for Roberts Jr., although we have obviously modified the batting order since Robert Jr. was our number 3 hitter against both lefties and righties. Ted Miller, who plays primarily against right-handed pitching, is going to go into the lineup now against lefties as our DH, and that will move Gus Nieves from DH to right field for the rest of the regular season. Hopefully we can keep all of these guys healthy down the stretch, and hopefully we can win these next 2 games against San Francisco to avoid losing the series and having them continue to make up ground on us. And given that it's September in game time and it's September now in real life, The NFL is starting just a couple of days from now, or 3 days from now, I guess, technically, since it's Monday, September 1st in the evening as I'm doing this episode, although I won't post it till Tuesday morning. Won a couple of very low-scoring football games against the Giants, 7-3 both days to even ourselves 2-2 in the series. So it means we've got a 7-game lead on the Giants with just 3 games left against them this year. And we are 2.5 games behind the Reds at this point for the second best record in the National League, at least among a division leader. And we've taken 3 or 4 since we checked in. Lost the first game against the Dodgers, but then took the second game at home. And since then have won 2 in a row at home against the Marlins. So that is the positive news. Taking a look at the standings, we've extended the lead on the Giants to 9 games now. But the Reds also have been winning, so we've closed the gap on the Reds to 2 games at this point, but still certainly have some work to do to get past them for the first round bye. Nieves still a home run behind Luis Villarreal in his race to lead the National League. Martinez and Schultz continue to be very prominent among the key pitching categories in the National League this year. The injury issues continue, although at least in this situation they're relatively minor. Seibrecht is back and healthy, but we put on a rehab assignment for him. He's at a 6.75 ERA in the majors this past year, so I'd rather see what some of the youngsters can do at this point. Catcher Mike Girard, sore back, going to be out for 3 days. We've got 3 catchers in the majors now, so that's not a major deal. Gus Nieves, an elbow contusion that's going to have a moderate impact on his throwing. We'll DH him for the foreseeable future to hopefully minimize the risk of that elbow injury turning into anything more serious, but still feel like we definitely need his bat in the lineup. And we ended up splitting the final 2 games against the Marlins, so exactly 3 weeks left in the season at this point, 82-61 record, so 19 games left to play for our Colorado Rockies, 8 games clear of the Giants, and we are still 2 games behind the Reds. Our magic number is down to 12. We'll see if we can have a good week. San Diego is a 500 team at 71-71 coming up, and then after that we've got the Texas Rangers, who are 75-68, leading the American League West. So we're on the road for these next 7 days. Would love to have a winning road trip against those 2 teams. 4-3 is kind of the least that we'd like. Would certainly love if we could go 5-2 and only lose 1 game in each series, but given that they're on the road and neither of these teams is a pushover, that might be hoping for a little too much. And we've split our first 2 games on the road at San Diego. Unfortunately, Mike Girard, we had benched him with that previous injury, but just suffered a knee injury that's diagnosis pending. So that could be a big blow. Didn't mind losing him for 3 games, but certainly if our outstanding rookie defensive catcher ends up missing significant time down the stretch and possibly into the playoffs, that would not be optimal. And unfortunately, the news for Girard is as bad as it gets. Took a while for the injury to be diagnosed. We ended up splitting the 4-game series in San Diego, but he's going to be out 8 to 9 months with a torn PCL. So the Rockies' season is over. Mentioned he was an outstanding defensive catcher, and the 23-year-old former supplemental first-round pick is going to be missing a good chunk of next year at this point, even if things go well. He ended up improving a bit over the second half of the season. Not that a 220 average is particularly impressive, but he did have 16 homers and 54 ribbies and 395 at-bats, 67 WRC plus, but was a win above replacement. Gonna be in a situation now, though, where have to take advantage of the fact that we did bring Kyle Teal on board. Not optimal that Girard is gone, but Boone is certainly a capable defensive catcher, and Kyle Teal, while not nearly as good as Boone and certainly in a whole different stratosphere than Mr. Girard, is still a competent defensive catcher for the major leagues. The issue is more losing that great defense and then also losing a guy who had a little bit of pop in his bat, because neither Teal nor Boone are going to hit too many home runs for us. And despite the very serious injury to Girard, which certainly weakens our catcher position and probably doesn't help our pitching staff, we did put the 5-2 week together that I thought was a bit unrealistic as we swept the 3 games in Texas. So we get ready for the final 9 home games of the regular season, Cincinnati and San Diego, and then those 3 potentially big ones against the Giants. But our lead against the Giants has expanded to 12, and our magic number is down to 1. So those games definitely less important now, as they have lost 5 in a row while we've been winning 3 in a row. We are only half a game behind the Reds now to have the second best record among a team that's leading a division in the National League and getting the first round bye. So we should have the playoff spot and the division clinched in very short order. Actually, I'm guessing the playoff spot has already been clinched, I would assume. I'm probably missed an email on that. Nieves tied for the league in home runs and still third in ribbies as we head into the final couple weeks of the season. Martinez still leading the league in ERA and wins at this point, as well as pitcher WAR with an 8.5. Brilliant season from Leo Martinez. Hard to imagine he's not going to win the NL Cy Young Award this year when all is said and done. And it looks like our old buddy Dervi Mahez may only be 3 days away. Kevin Roberts Jr. 2 weeks away. So optimistic that particularly if we get a first round bye, we'll have Roberts for our first playoff game. Still definitely a little dicier situation if we have to play in a wild card series. And the good news is that San Francisco lost, so we clinched the division. The bad news is that we lost to Cincinnati in the first game of this 3-game series. So 2 games left at home against Cincinnati. We're a game and a half behind them right now. So we control our destiny a little bit over these next couple of days, win these 2 games against Cincinnati, and we will have moved past them in the standings. But if they take these next 2, it's going to be pretty difficult for us to get past them, and we likely will be facing a wild card series. And unfortunately, all we could muster was a split with Cincinnati. So a wild card series, unfortunately, looking increasingly likely for us. With just 9 games left, we're still a game and a half behind Cincinnati in the battle for the second best record among a division winner in the NL. And Dervi Mahez, after missing about 4 months with that elbow injury, ready to begin a rehab assignment, probably will play him the course of this weekend in AAA to hopefully shake off a little bit of the rust, and then we will hopefully be able to promote him to the majors for the final week of the season. And we took 2 out of 3 against the Padres, so just 6 games left in the regular season, 3 at home against the Giants, 3 at home against the Dodgers. Taking a look at the standings at 90 and 66, half a game behind the Reds. Presumably they will be playing the game that they have in hand on us on our upcoming off day on Thursday. Basically, we just need to keep winning and hope for the best. And as we head into those final 6 games of the season, we're going to bring Derby Mahez up. He was a monster in AAA, 8 for 13 with a double, a triple, and a homer. Ridiculous 615 batting average, 296 WRC plus. And Mahez is actually on a hot streak right now. He's going to take over as our second baseman against right-handed pitching, pushing Rosniel DePaula to the bench for the final week of the season. And he pushes Ted Miller out of the lineup against left-handed pitching. And he's actually going to be playing first base for us. Not that he's not better at some of these middle infield positions. He's a better second baseman defensively than Cody Shire. He's better at third base than Rosniel DePaula. But neither of those guys is capable of playing first base. So don't even know if we're going to be facing any lefties over this final week of the season. But hopefully with the hot bat that he has, he'll help us win some games. And it would be very nice to get past the Reds in the standings. Nieves now 3 home runs behind Villarreal in the race for the home run lead. So he's going to need a big last week of the season to get there. Martinez's ERA has climbed since the last time we checked in, but still leading the National League in ERA by over a run, which is absolutely ridiculous. Looks like he's a good bet to get 2/3 of a pitching triple crown, leading the league in ERA and wins. And he'll also lead the league in batter WAR unless something very weird happens over these final 6 games. Pitcher WAR. I might have said batter WAR. And our Rockies in the final 3 home games of the regular season doing their best impression of Bachman-Turner overdrive and taking care of business, sweeping the 3 games against the Giants. So 3 games left in the season at this point, 93-66 record, and we have gone a game and a half up on the Reds to try to earn that very important first round bye. Nieves homers since we've checked in, but still 2 behind Villarreal. So 3 games left. Would be nice if on our off day today the Reds lose to whoever they're playing against. And the Reds did do a favor with that game in hand and loss, so we are now 2 games ahead of Cincinnati with just 3 to go. So 4-game winning streak, while the Reds have been struggling, has turned that around very quickly, and we're now positioned to earn a first-round bye, which would be very important, especially with Roberts Jr. still recovering from his injury. And it looks like Roberts Jr. is 5 days away from recovering from that strained ACL, so he would definitely be available for most of the wildcard series, depending on how many off days there are till the National League gets started. But at this point, would certainly prefer that we just have the first round bye. Colt Keith, strained hammy, that's going to have a moderate impact on running for him for 3 weeks. Probably will shut him down for the rest of the regular season at this point. And we just had about the worst day we could possibly have. We lost the first game on the road to the Dodgers. The Reds won, so our lead over them is just 1 game at this point, putting more pressure on us. Kevin Roberts Jr., going to likely miss at least another week as he had a setback with the injury, so that makes it all the more important that we do get the first round bye. Was hoping that we would win game number 160 so we could just let players rest these final 2 games. But with the setback from Roberts, the loss of Gerard, and Colt Keith dealing with an injury for the next few weeks, the injury situation has not been kind to us over the last few weeks. and weren't necessarily hoping that we would be pitching Leo Martinez in game number 161, but a win today, and he can guarantee if Cincinnati also loses that we'll have a first round bye, and he'll have plenty of rest before his first playoff appearance of the season. Let's see what happens. And for some reason, it's going to take real long to move forward that one day. Oh, I guess it's the last day of the month. So I will be back after I'm done moving through this month end. It looks like it's happening relatively quickly. I know this is very entertaining to watch my slow computer just move from month to month. See that quote from Goose Gossage. We did get the win 6-1, so that is positive. And it looks like we pitched Painter. That was odd. Regardless, good to get the W, but it looked like, don't know why our manager made that decision at the last minute. That was a little weird. Cincinnati also won, so we're up one game on them. Need to look at the team by team at this point to really understand what we're dealing with. And our Colorado Rockies 3-4 against Cincinnati in the regular season this year. So we need a win or we need a Reds loss. So we still have something to play for here in game 162. And it still says that Leo Martinez is set to pitch for us. Plenty of rest. And if he does his job today, he'll get his 19th win of the season, and he'll guarantee that he's got plenty of time off before his next game. Looks like we've got a lot of cold pitchers right now, unfortunately, with Noah Schultz slumped. And he's benched for a day. I don't like seeing that because I thought I had control of all of that. I don't know if our manager's getting a little full of himself making some decisions somehow, but I should be making all of those decisions. Yeah, I did not do that, and I'm guessing that might have also happened with Martinez being benched for the day. So I am going to have to go into my settings here. Toby Staveland has been a very good manager for us, but player strategy settings apparently he retains full control of now, which is not, I believe I should still be able to have a way where I defaulted to control that because I don't like him making these decisions for me. But that explains why I thought Leo Martinez was going to pitch yesterday and he didn't. And it does look like our friend Mr. Staveland has taken over setting player strategy settings from me. He's been a very successful manager for us, but I haven't mentioned this, but I've felt like at times this season I've gone into strategy settings for players and they've been different, and I've thought to myself, oh, I don't normally go in that setting, but I must have gone into it and changed something when I was just casually looking at stuff and not paying attention. But unfortunately, that's not the case, and at some point, either this season or maybe this entire season, Staveland took over the strategy settings from me. So definitely not pleased about that because I have no clue who he's going to be putting on the mound for this final day of the season. I am going to go into here and change that setting to bench Leo Martinez. I don't know whether or not I'll really be able to overrule Staveland, but I want to ensure that we win this final game of the season and we've got a first round bye, and Mr. Staveland seems to be a little more casual about that than I am. And we lost. Now the question is, he did pitch, so I was able to overcome that. So I guess that's positive, although I don't want to micromanage things like that. But a 3-0 loss. Martinez drops to 18-6 on what was an outstanding season for him. Now, if Cincinnati won, we are going to have to play in a wildcard matchup, and we probably cost ourselves Leo Martinez because he didn't pitch yesterday. So poorly managed by me, but also didn't realize that change had been made. Although, as I said, I felt like some strategy settings for players had been getting messed up, and I didn't know what was going on. And now I realize that Toby Stavelin's been changing them on me. Fortunately, Cincinnati did lose yesterday, so we maintained the first round bye, which means we'll get to see Martinez pitching in the first round, and we'll hopefully put ourselves in a position where we can see Kevin Roberts Jr. Nieves ends up just missing out on his 5th home run title. Martinez leads the league in ERA, leads the league in wins, and leads the league in pitcher WAR. Yamamoto's been the National League Cy Young winner the last couple of years when both Schultz and Martinez have been having great seasons. But it's hard to imagine that Martinez won't get the award this time around. And with the season over, Kevin Roberts Jr. still 1 week away. So the question is whether, with the setback he's had, whether he'll be fully ready by the time we get to our divisional series. Colt Keith still going to be dealing with a moderate impact on his running for 3 weeks with that strained hammy, so he may not be available. Cody Schreier now with flu-like symptoms, but he should be ready for the postseason. And given that we've got a whole round to play before we get to our games, take a look now at the playoff tree and what's ahead of us. The White Sox and the Rangers with the byes in the American League. Angels will be playing the Astros, Twins against the Rays. The Nationals and our Rockies with the byes in the National League. Pirates against the Marlins, and then the Mets against the Reds. So when all was said and done, we did sneak into that very important bye for the first round of the playoffs. Did it in a very ugly fashion. Might have to fire Toby Staveland after this season just because I want to be controlling player strategies for my players, and replace him with someone who's less established. But at this point, we have made it to the playoffs for a 9th straight year. We've won the NL West for a 5th consecutive season, and we've got a playoff bye ahead of us. And we'll find out how the postseason goes in our next episode. Until then, thanks so much for watching, and hope you have a great day.